In this video we talk about The Incredibles Save the Day game. This is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players, geared mainly towards children, families, and very casual players. In this game, players control members of the quintessential quartet, and they run around town trying to fix problems. They will win the game if they fix all the problems that are visible, and if they rescue Jack, that terrible teleporting toddler keeps going around town and needs to be rescued and brought home with the family. The players lose the game as a team if too many problems are visible on the board. Now let's see how the game works. Here we have the board that represents the town where our heroes are gonna run around desperately trying to fix problems. The heroes will move on this track of spaces here. They start from the central location and the board has several of these windows here where there are double-sided pieces that from one side represent, well, the problem, what's going on that is bad, and on the other side, a normal situation. So at the beginning of the game, you will select 3 problem cards randomly that indicates the locations, in this case E, L, and G, that you flip face up during setup, and that then they represent the initial problems. So basically you need to go there to produce the symbol of the problem by rolling a die, in which case you'll be able then to flip the tile face down and that problem is fixed. Jack is represented by a special die. If one of the heroes goes in the space where Jack is, then the players can remove the die from the board and they can roll it when they're taking tests. Having the support of Jack is actually very important. He is possibly the most powerful character in the game. Now, each player controls one of the heroes, although there really is no reason why a single player could not control multiple heroes. In fact, a single player could control all the heroes. Each hero is associated with a specific die that has different combinations of symbols. Basically, each character has 2 symbols of their special abilities. Say, Elastigirl has 2 symbols representing flexibility, although on a partially unrelated note, it should really be Elasti-Woman. Elastigirl by now is just strange. So, 2 flexibility symbols, 1 wild, and then two other symbols, which are force fields and strength here. And Mr. Incredible has 2 strength, 1 wild, and 2 other symbols, and that is the general pattern here. So each player controls a hero, each player has the associated die. When it is a player's turn, that player rolls the die, always, whether you want to move or not, you roll the movement die, and the number that you roll is the number of spaces up to which your character can move. Suppose we are moving dash, we roll a 3, 1, 2, 3, we can get there. Incidentally, yes, with movement, dash doesn't move faster than the other people, so there are certain simplifications that have been done to make the system playable by children, but they're not entirely thematic. So when a character, after moving, ends on a problem space, the character can try to solve it. The character rolls the die. If they have Jack, they also roll the Jack die. And if they produce the symbol of the problem, then the problem is fixed. In this case, we have a wild, so we can count that as that. And then we have fixed that problem. Woohoo! And this tile seems to be a little stuck, which happens sometimes. And it's possibly the only real minus of the production that for you to be able to play the game so that the tiles will move around, you do have to place them in the frame they come from, but sometimes also they get stuck. So yay, we fixed that problem. After we fix a problem, we also flip down the card corresponding to the problem. Here we have a deck of problem cards. During setup, you select the 3 problem cards randomly, you place them here on this track, you shuffle then the other ones, and then you're good to go. Basically, this is where you will place the problem cards. If we fix this problem, we flip this one face down. If all of the problems on the track are face down, the players win the game. However, when you roll the movement die during movement, if you roll a side that also has the alarm symbol, which is that red symbol there, then you have to draw a card from the problem deck. And maybe it is another problem, in which case you slide down all of your problems, you flip face up the tile corresponding to the new problem. And then you're good to go. You can continue playing, resolving your normal movement. For example, that was 5 plus alarm. However, if a face down problem being pushed by new problems, such as this space, nothing happens, you just discard it. But if a face-up problem reaches that space, then the players collectively lose the game. There are also other problems that are still triggered by the alarm symbol, but that are not problems per se. You resolve the effect and then you discard it. For example, road destroyed, then you add a rubble marker in that space on the board, and now players cannot enter or move through that space. Jack teleports. Yes, maybe you had acquired Jack by moving in that space, and now the little teleporting toddler, who is completely unpredictable, moves back to the board. In this case, moves to space number 5. And then we also have good stuff. Frozone helps and solves a problem with one of the symbols there. More problems. Let me see if I can find Edna. Edna helps you retrieve Jack. So this is pretty much the general idea. Very simple. By default, you have your character and one die. You move around the board, solving problems or trying to solve problems, adding new events from the deck when you roll that symbol, rolling your die, and Jack die if you have it when you try to fix a problem. You win the game if all of the problems on the track are face down and the players control Jack is not on the board. So, The Incredibles saved the day. I played this game with my daughters that are now 6 and 8, and that really is the perfect target. There are games for children and families that I would also bring out to my adult group. Say, King of Tokyo would be a perfect example. This one probably not so much. This is really mainly for children and parents that are playing with their kids. But my daughters like it, and so that's good enough. That is perfectly fine. So, a game mainly for children because of its simplicity, because of the very intuitive rules, but that also, of course, results from the adult point of view in an extremely linear strategy with, from time to time, still some interesting decisions. The main one being, of course, if you're close to a problem but you don't have the best type of die, should you go there or run to another place and try to solve a problem which is further from you, but also in which you specialize, in which you have more chances of success. However, that doesn't happen all that often, that the situation presents itself in which a natural decision of that kind is interesting, because sometimes the die, the problem with the die that is your special die, the problem that you're good at solving is entirely on the other side of the board, and because of rubble markers, now you would have to go through such a long track that there's really no point. It's still better if you still just try to solve whatever problem you're sitting on, especially if you had the Jack die. Or there are other cases where there's only one problem on the board, so, well, no big dilemma there. So although potentially I think that was kind of the idea of the design, let's give children that dilemma, get to the problem which is not your best one, or go all the way to the problem that you're really good at. But in practice, that doesn't happen all that often. In practice, the system is pretty much on autopilot. I go to whatever problem I'm next to, and then I just try to solve it. And again, with the Jack die, frankly, it doesn't make that much of a difference. So again, very simple, very linear. I'm happy when I play with my daughters because I see them so happy. For me, of course, I would probably play other cooperative games. There's a little bit of ghost stories there with the idea of running around, maybe even a little bit of pandemic, but of course, scaled down and simplified to a very large extent. My 6-year-old really likes it, likes the mechanics, likes the ideas, and likes the fact that we win very often. In fact, I think we won every game. Sometimes also victory is a little bit anticlimactic because you have 3 problems on the board at the beginning. Maybe they are just close to your beginning area. You get lucky, you solve them in 5 minutes and you're done. And that's okay. My 6-year-old daughter is ecstatic. The 8-year-old like, oh, this was not challenging enough. And right there you already see the difference in age, in perspective. It may just be my daughter's personality. As Luisa, the 6-year-old, wants to win all the time. Amelia likes the challenger and wants to win if in fact there was a challenge to be overcome. She was like, that was too easy to beat. There are times where you don't win at the beginning, right there, and then things, of course, become a little tougher. You start having a lot of problems, and you do have a face-up problem next to the space where you could lose if you've got one more problem. And then you're rolling the die, so it's exciting because you don't know if, in fact, that die will add a card. And actually, even when you draw the card, it may still be a card that does not add a problem. So there's that double excitement there. We could lose that turn. If we roll the alarm, oh my gosh, then we're getting close to losing, but it's not certain yet. Then we flip a card and we see what happens. So if you go past the initial phase, which again, in which you may win, then the game becomes definitely more exciting, and you have moments in which you could lose. Although maybe we got lucky, but that hasn't happened to us yet. But I think that if you want to ramp up the difficulty, of course, you could just start with more problems on the board, just as before, and I think probably that would solve the problem. So in general, I would recommend this for families. If you have kids that like the movies and like cooperative gaming and don't like losing, this could be perfect game for them. Definitely my daughters have enjoyed it, and so for that reason, and even if that was just the only reason, I would be happy already to have it in my collection. In general, although it is very simple, very linear, I still had quite a good time playing it. So in general, I would recommend it for the target audience, which is again children, parents, and possibly very, 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 very casual players.